everyone, and welcome to today's YouTube video. Today I have a super special guest and I'm very excited to chat to her because she has made waves in the fashion industry and beyond. And she is an inspiration for me and someone that I look up to and I hope and aspire to be like as I continue on in my modeling journey. Today I have Dani Stevens, media sensation, model extraordinaire. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful introduction. I'm going to have to correct you there. I am no fashionista. That's why I'm coming to you, girlfriend.
No, sorry, but looking at your Instagram and social media, it says otherwise.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I love anything to do with fitness, food and style. It's just been part of, who I am. So thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So let's dive in. Dani, how long have you been, I guess, a media sensation? Because you mentioned to me earlier that more recently you've only delved into modeling, but prior to that you have been a big personality. You've had the likes of Jamie Oliver following you, an avid follower. Yeah, how did it all start? Tell me.
Well, I guess I had girlfriends coming to me and I just had my baby number 4 and she just said, Dani, how do you do it? Like I just had Facebook for my mother's group in Melbourne and all of our families from former Yugoslavia. So that was the only reason why I used social media. And she just said, Dani, you've got to share what you do. You've got 4 kids under 6. She goes, I don't even have any kids and I can't even make a green smoothie and get to work on time. So I guess I just got onto that Instagram sensational platform that changed my world. I'm from a corporate background, so very successful, 6-figure income, but I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mum. And when I say just, it is one of the most rewarding roles ever and I'm still doing it to this day. So I've never gone back to my corporate world and just created my amazing personal brand. So it was all by chance. That was the whole big social media wave back in the day. So use the hashtags. I had fit yummy mummy, muffin top, inspo, fitspo. So I was one of the first mums that was in the parks with the stroller, doing a squat and then, doing chin-ups and having my kids climbing everywhere. So I'd like to say I was one of the OGs.
I was going to say, you were one of the OGs of the IG mums.
One of the IG of the IG mums, yeah. And then it just morphed from there with all those hashtags. All these major brands started to sort of approach me. And you mentioned Jamie Oliver. I had him on my kitchen bench all my life cooking.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, he DMs me and says, Dani, we love what you do. I love what you do. Let's collaborate. So I did a food tube recipe with him. Then with another third party, we did a book together and we had an app together. So it's just been absolutely mind-blowing, but also empowering for me to just know that, no dream is too little to achieve. So he was someone that I always admired and I ended up getting an opportunity to work with him and we are, peers today, so it's just really phenomenal.
What was it like?
Then I
had to ask really quickly, when that message popped up from him, what did you, were you like, am I dreaming?
Well, back then, because my social went really skyrocket, I had a friend that was managing my emails and my email first came in and she goes, you will not believe who just landed in your lap. And I'm just going, what are you talking about? Then I checked my Instagram and there Jamie was. It just took a photo of a lemon from his lemon tree. And he said, look, sorry, I know it's just not the right image, but really love what you do. And I am just going, oh my gosh, like I couldn't contain myself, like beyond words. Like even today with everything that I do, like even connecting with you, like I just love connecting with people for us to sort of, share our message, which is just everybody's message as well. So it doesn't matter if you are famous or you're an everyday, person at, working at your coffee shop. You still bring me joy and you still light me up. So I'm here to just share, your decaf because I've gone caffeine free and doing teas.
Love it. You certainly are infectious personality wise. I find that I haven't stopped smiling. I'm like, okay, enough smiling. And I can't. No, it's really, even through the computer, I'm being around you. So it's wonderful.
That's why I can't model with the serious poses because the photographers are going, Dani, can you just give us a little bit of a serious, And I'm like, I can't. I can't. So I shouldn't say I can't because I always say that, you can. So.
And then so from that journey now you're going more into the modeling industry as well, which I think complements what you do beautifully. And I love to see, the hair. Tell me about
that's what inspired me. So obviously Yeah, so obviously I've been doing what I've been doing. So a lot of my community have said, oh, Dani, we thought you were a model because, you know, you've been working with Microsoft, you work with, you know, HelloFresh, Airbnb and all the, you know, everyday brands that are part of my life. But it wasn't until I started to not dye my hair anymore. And that was like 2 years ago now. So I got my first grey hair when I was 16 and my mum went actually white when she was like close to 30. And I'll never forget back then how white hair was old. Yeah. So I remembered as a young child, oh, who's that dropping you off? Is that your grandma? So back then I even had that whole, oh my gosh, I'm not going white. That's old. So that's why when I went to my hairdresser in my 40s, I'm saying, you know what? I'm done. I'm tired of putting this chemical in my hair. I've wasted so much time in the chair. Loved each and every one of my hairdressers. That's the only reason why I would still go, is just to socialize with them. But I thought, look at all the toxins and look at what I'm doing and look at what I'm showing my daughters. Like I've got two little girls, 10 and 12, Zali and Mietta. I'm telling them, dye this because white is not good because that means we're aging. So when that happened, Stefania, I was just like liberated. Like I'm getting goosebumps.
I just got them too. Yeah.
Oh, I just felt this relief. I even, you know, some other people just saying, oh, Dani, I don't know. You're going to kind of alienate those other women that want to look youthful or still have their al natural colour back in the day.
For me, certainly not, because I love grey white hair. And in fact, every time I go to the hairdresser to get mine bleached, I say, are there any grey hairs yet? Because I really want to go full white. My auntie went full white in her 20s. But then my mum, her sister, it wasn't, you know, mum still got mostly a head of dark hair in her 60s now. And so I think, unfortunately, you know, it's like, I actually want it. And it's like, maybe.
It's not part of your gene pool yet.
Stunning.
Thank you so much. So yeah, that's what sort of then kick-started my official modeling career. But another funny story with being a social personality or butterfly that I am, confetti, I like to call myself. I got onto the platform Clubhouse and just got onto it's another audio app. You don't see people, there's no images, it's just dropping in on a phone call. Say you and I just opened up a room and we're talking about, you know, pro-age topics. And I went into a room which was Vegemite on toast. And I thought, oh, it's an Aussie room because it's very American at the moment because it's in better format. And these ladies were just talking about, you know, products and hair and dyeing, and I just sort of put my hand up and asked to speak, and I just said, oh, thank goodness I've dropped the bottle, you know, I've just embraced my grey. And because my profile photo was white, they were all going, oh my gosh, we were admiring your hair, look how glorious it is. And I said, yeah, you know, I did a little shoot with a brand the other day and they said, you really should look into doing modeling, Dani. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm 47, like as if. And Chelsea, CEO of Bella Management, is on that call and says to me,
stop. What?
I know. And I'm just like, sorry, are you the lady that just changed the world like, you know, two decades ago?
Yeah, she led the revolution of body diversity in the industry.
Amen. And so she just said, we want you, as in like, you know, let's connect. And hence then I sort of saw you and followed you, and this is where we are today.
And here we are.
Yeah, so I've just sort of started to pick up on some work, and yeah, I'm really, really excited, but mainly just for this whole pro-age and age diversity, because you and I chatted about it in our DMs, just saying, where are all these young girls on these main, you know, top-end brands, and they're not cheap items. Like, I can't see a 26-year-old, no offense, affording $1,000 gowns or jumpsuits.
No, so it was just an awful experience where I was doing a runway and there were about 50 models. 2 of them were bigger than the standard sample size of an Australian size 8. So very little body diversity, next to none. And the other thing is we had next to no outfits compared to the other models too. So it was really like, what are we doing here? I got one of my outfits cut at the last minute. But that aside, what upset me the most about the whole runway, and this is a big runway, big brand, was there was no age diversity. It was all teens or 20-somethings. And now this brand's target market is not girls and women in their 20s. It's women probably in their 40s, 50s, you know, that's their target market.
And beyond.
And beyond. And yet the models that they're using to showcase the clothing are completely unrelatable for their buyers, their consumers, their everyday consumers. And I was shaking like, like, how can you do this? How can the industry do this? It is incredibly ageist. It's almost like we've managed to tackle quite a few of the diversity topics in the modeling industry, but the one that we cannot seem to push for some reason, because our society is incredibly ageist and it seems to be okay. People are accepting that. And in the modeling industry, I can't. I'm actually shaking just thinking.
I can see you.
Yeah, yeah, you can. I'm like, oh.
I think you and I chatting together and just creating that sort of greater visibility as well, because you received a DM, I've received a DM of ladies just saying, oh my gosh, I feel worthless. I've just been demoted. I'm getting older. This younger girl's taking on my role. Or some of them are actually just saying, go Dani, represent us silver fox, women's. Yeah, so I think it's a good thing that we're chatting about it. And obviously, Allure a couple of years ago when they featured Helen on the main sort of cover, just to say we are banning anti-aging. Like we have to get rid of that word of
it's horrible, isn't it? It's so bad. And you see it in advertising all around you. It's like this anti-aging cream. And then you've got models in their 20s doing anti-aging cream. And I'm just, what is going on?
Doesn't make sense, And I know it's all about the biz and the moolah, but you've actually got humans on the other end who are your consumers potentially that you're not even valuing,
I think we have to. Ways of getting through to consumers. So you can get through to consumers by making them feel inadequate and crap about themselves, so that they think, well, in order to feel better, I'll buy that product. And I think there's a lot of that going on. But it's obvious that consumers will respond hugely and positively when they see themselves represented. So it's not necessary to be making these people feel like shit to sell them stuff. You don't need to. In fact, I think people will find the right brands more easily and spend that money if they feel represented.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm all for embracing ageless. I mean, I always say, timeless, ageless. It's not that I want to age less, as in, reducing my years on this earth. I think growing older is such a privilege. So we really should be thankful and embracing all these beautiful lifelines, I mean, I used to be a smoker. So I was just thinking, oh my goodness, my husband said, oh, you got a bit of a cat's bum. And I know I've got girlfriends that are doing Botox. So they're like this, they're like, they're all smooth. And I'm like,
like what? In the lips or around the lips?
Yes, they're around the lips. So it's not, so say you've got the creases there. They're getting injectables there, so that kind of smooths out. And obviously this, which is fine. I mean, everyone, each to their own. But why? Why do we have to go?
You got to ask what their motivation is.
What is this line on your face going to really mean that, you can't get a job because the market is saying, go for young. We have to change that whole mentality as well, that whole landscape.
The other thing I've noticed, not just in the modeling industry, but also in the acting industry, I feel like in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s too, probably, we had actors, protagonists that seemed to be much older than they are now. And now the protagonists in movies seem to be teenagers saving the world. I'm sick of teenagers saving the world.
Yes.
I don't want any more of them.
I know. I used to remember growing up as a child, like Doris Day. Like my middle name is Doris because my mum loved Doris Day, and Rock Hudson and all those older kind of, in their 30s, 40s, that James Bond.
A lot of silver foxes in Hollywood back in the day. What has happened?
Where have they gone? I mean, they're all sort of saying the George Clooney's of the world and Pierce Brosnan. I'm like, where's our equivalent?
Where are the women?
Where are the women? So bring that back. I reckon that's amazing too, that old Hollywood.
Because even for me, I'm starting to feel it being in my 20s. I'm going into stores and I'm seeing these teenagers who I can't relate to anymore,
Yes.
So what is it going to feel like for a woman in her 40s, 50s and beyond to see teenagers in stores? It must be even more jarring for them than it would be for me.
Exactly. And you're not that old, what I mean?
No.
You're already, do you know what I mean? But it's always, it's planted a seed in your mind. And like, what are my kids going to think? They're 10 and 12 and thinking, oh my gosh, is this what I have to look like? Or these Brazilian sort of cheeky cut sort of bikinis, is that what I'm going to have to wear, mum? And we're like, no, you have choice of wearing certain clothing, girls. But even that sort of side of things as well with the younger girls, just thinking that they have to have less to feel as if, you know, they're going to be more.
Clothing wise? Yeah.
Some of the, I mean, I know, like, I love what you do. And you actually
I
said
was going to
in
be
one
like,
of your... Well, hang on, Dani. Like,
my
I'm pretty much
day-to-day
naked
life.
on my...
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't know if she's talking to the right person, but I guess it depends. If it empowers you, you do it, but you don't do it because you think that's what's going to empower you. You do it,
and that's what I'm saying. Yes, it's the girls that are doing it to get the attention.
Yeah.
Whereas I love how you sort of said it in one of your articles where you just said, you know what, this is us every day. We have lingerie on us every day. It shouldn't be sexualized. Like, it's what makes us feel sexy.
Yeah.
So I'm all for what you do, but it's just the young girls that are getting the attention from the boys, because I'm getting a lot of
pressure. It's the fear that the girls are pressured into it unwillingly, ultimately, when it really should be a decision from yourself whether or not you did that in the right place. And it's the same with Botox or anything on the body. It's got to come from somewhere secure as opposed to doing it for others.
That's right. Like, I do have a girlfriend that's in the entertainment industry, and she said, look, Dani, it is a bit tricky in my gig. She goes, I love the fact that you are who you are with all your wrinkles and no makeup when you're on your stories. She goes, but I'm in the entertainment industry, and if my 40-plus-year-old face doesn't mimic the 20-year-old face, I get no gigs. And in my heart, I just went, what a job to have. You know, it's not putting my girlfriend down in any stretch, and she doesn't feel sort of deflated because of that, but it's just what the industry's like. Same with the beauty industry, with all the anti-aging serums. You must buy these to look younger.
Yeah, well, you know that there are models in their teens, because speaking to makeup artists and being in the industry, you talk, and I hear stories about how girls that are 16 are now starting to get Botox as a preventative method, so that they think, I don't know if they're going to think 16. They can skip the entire process of being a human. I don't know, but
I know
been taken too far because of the age of society we live in, that people are going to these extra measures that they don't need to.
Yes. So if we can just at least plant a bit of a seed for our younger generation, that they don't have to start now. Do not Botox at 16 or even 20. I mean, I did have a girlfriend, this is going back, you know, a good decade and a little bit more, actually. I think she was 35, and she said, oh, Dani, I'm starting now, so I look 35 when I'm 55. And she was quite cute when she said that, but I just went, wow, why? Like, why are people so afraid of growing older? Like, we are so much more confident. Like, I'm now 47, and I feel like my life has just begun. And then I see my muse, like Mae Musk, doing her modeling at 70, and there's other models that are like 86. I'm like, I've got another 30 years of this new modeling career of mine.
Until the day you die. That's my plan. It's like, I say to myself, I'm going to be modeling till the day I die.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No way
so
am I going
it
to
should not stop.
Yeah. We're not going to let the industry or society dictate to us what we are allowed to do, really. And if they're going to try and stop us, well, we're going to push. And I find women models like yourself and Mae, like Mae has always been a huge inspiration to me. I've been following her for years. And it is amazing to see this woman do so well and be embraced by the industry. But I want to see more. I want to see more women where this is happening. You know, just a couple.
And it's starting to.
Yeah.
I know. It's starting to with the whole grey hair movement and Army and Silver Sisters. So it is just starting to now. Like, I'm following a lot of Silver Sisters with their transformations and supporting them, but yeah, they're just not in the mainstream. They're their own personality on social media, but it hasn't been on a big kick-ass campaign, which, you know what, I'm going to do it for my Silver Sisters. Yay. I'm going to rock one of the largest, biggest campaign billboards in the world and, you know, really just stand proud. And come do a freaking close-up if you want to see, you know, my brown sunspots, or, you know, my wrinkles, or my laugh lines, you know. So I'll be embracing everything.
I mean, I think
I'll even go
fascinating, you know, on the body. Yeah. You're going to do a step?
I'm going to do a step, and that's what I said to you. I cannot wait when we're modeling, and it doesn't matter what shape or size we are. We have to feel empowered and sexy in lingerie. Like, why not? Like, you know, my mum is from a European background, and she would be like, oh, a bit shame, Dani, you know, you don't want to show your body out to the world. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this for my girls. I'm actually just empowering other women to feel sexy and beautiful, and that lingerie isn't just for a special occasion.